Today we're going to go over grip. We're going to talk about how placing your hands on the pistol in the proper way gives you a greater advantage and a higher ability to be able to manage and control the recoil to allow that gun to come right back where you want it. We're also going to talk about grip pressure and how much strength you need in your hands to be able to hold that gun properly so that you can manage that recoil to the best of your ability. So stay tuned. First off, we're going to go over a couple of parts that you need to know to give you a better understanding of what we're talking about. So this right here is called the trigger guard, and this right here is what's called the beaver tail. So when you're putting your dominant hand onto the pistol, you want to make sure that you get nice and high on that beaver tail right up there. You don't want any gap or anything like that on there. You want to be nice and high, pressing against it as best you can. And then also under the trigger guard here, you want to make sure that there's no gap or anything. You just want to be nice and high up on there. You also want to try and keep this thumb up and out of the way. So keeping that thumb up and out of the way allows you to bring in that support hand to cover as much of the pistol as possible. But we'll give you a nice good look here as to what it looks like holding this with your dominant hand. Now, when adding in that support hand, you can kind of see that there's this curve right here in your hand, and there's this curve right here in your other hand. And they match and meet up together nicely. And so that's what you want to do. You want to bring this hand and put it on there just like that, where those curves are meeting up, and you're getting a nice, good, solid purchase on the gun. You're filling in as much of this frame here as you possibly can while you're doing that. And then what you choose to do with your thumbs is up to you. You do not necessarily need something to press down on to try and help manage and control the recoil. Your grip and grip pressures that I'm going to teach you are going to be all that you're going to need to actually be able to manage that recoil and get that gun to come right back to where you want it. So filling in here just like that, covering up as much as you can of the pistol, and here so just like that. I also wanted to show how to grip the pistol when you have a manual safety. So something that has to be deactivated in order for the pistol to work. When you have a manual safety, you want to keep your hand still nice and high on there, no gaps between the beaver tail or the trigger guard, but you want to keep your thumb on top of that manual safety. So just like that, you want to make sure that your thumb sits and rides on top of that if at all possible. You want to do that so that way under recoil, when the gun's recoiling, if your thumb was down here like this, it could end up coming up like that and causing that safety to come back on, and then you come and you have a dead trigger when you need to be firing a round. So if you ride your thumb on top of that safety and fill in just like that, so just like that, just the same as it was before, just making sure that your thumb is riding on top of that manual safety. Now that we've gone over how to place your hand onto the pistol, we're going to go out to the range and we're going to talk about grip pressure. and figuring out exactly how much grip pressure you need to have on the pistol with both your dominant hand and your support hand. We are out at the range and we're going to talk a little bit about grip pressure. But before I do, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you leave us a comment and share this video. So let's get into it. When it comes to the amount of pressure that you want to put onto a pistol, the main thing that you're wanting to do is take all of the squish out of your hand. So our hands are made up of a bunch of muscle and fat and blood and tissue, things like that, and it moves. So when you press on it, you can kind of see it move, and I'll roll in some other footage of that. Also, you can see it kind of move. And so when you're gripping the pistol, you want to make sure that you're taking out all of that squish that's in your hand. So that way, when you go and you press that trigger, there's nowhere for that pistol to move. It's not going to move around or slide around in your hand. Another great way to figure out exactly how much pressure you should be putting onto the gun with your support hand or with your dominant hand is to shoot it one-handed. And go ahead and present the gun one-handed and just press the trigger. And when that gun goes off, just kind of feel in your hand, make sure that that gun didn't slip around or slide around in your hand. Doing that will make sure that that gun is staying exactly where it should in your hand. When you do that, kind of lessen up the pressure a little bit on your next shot. And if it still isn't sliding around or moving in your hand, then go ahead and lessen the pressure up a little bit more. And so I'm going to actually demo this for you so that you can kind of see what that looks like. We will load the pistol up. I'm going to shoot it one-handed, and we're going to hold pretty decent pressure on it right away. You don't need a target to be aiming at. You can just be aiming straight at the dirt. And we're going to press the trigger. Okay. So it didn't jump around in my hand, so we can lessen the amount of pressure that we're putting on. Still didn't jump around in my hand. Let's lessen the pressure again. Still didn't slide around in my hand. We'll lessen the pressure again. Still nothing, so we're going to lessen again. There, I felt it kind of move a little bit in my hand. So from there, I know I need to put just a little bit more pressure on there again. Now it's not jumping around in my hand at all. And I need to remember that amount of pressure. So that is the amount of pressure that I want to put onto this pistol with my dominant hand. The reason you want to have less pressure on the pistol with your dominant hand is so that your trigger finger can actually move faster. So if you're very tense in your dominant hand on the pistol, your finger moves a lot slower, and it also makes more muscles and tendons connect inside your hand, moving other parts of your hand as well. I'll roll in a little bit of footage of that also, me holding down with lots of pressure on there and trying to move my finger, as well as with lighter pressure and move my finger, and you'll see which one actually causes the other fingers to start to move a little bit more. And so the more pressure you have on there, the more moving your trigger finger is going to move the other fingers on your hand. And when it moves the other fingers on your hand, it's going to move your sights off your target, and you're not going to hit exactly where you want to hit. So you want to have that less pressure and shooting that one-handed and just trying to figure out where it's sliding around in your hand, and just adding just a little bit more pressure to it than that, and making sure that it's not jumping around in your hand, is going to be the ideal grip pressure that you're going to want with your dominant hand. when it comes to adding pressure with your support hand or your offhand, your other strong hand, as some people call it, you're going to want to fill the grip in, just like I had showed indoors. So we'll go ahead and load the gun. You'll want to fill the grip in all the way, and you'll be wanting to add more pressure with this hand. And the best way to figure out exactly how much pressure you should be adding with this hand is to do what's called the doubles drill. So you'll be shooting fast as you can possibly shoot 2 rounds. So it'll be boom, boom, and then you'll let the dot or your sight settle, and then boom, boom, let the dot settle, boom, boom, let the dot settle. And if the gun is not slipping around or sliding around, or you don't have to adjust your your sport hand grip, then you know you've got the right amount of grip pressure. So I'll go ahead and demo that for you right now. So as you can see, my hand wasn't slipping around. I didn't have to move or adjust my grip on there, so I knew that I had a good amount of pressure. If you do have to readjust your grip on the pistol at all, just make sure that you're adjusting it properly, getting that good grip in, then starting again, seeing if it's sliding around. And if it's still continuing to kind of jump around on you, add some more pressure with just your support hand. Remember, keep the same amount of pressure that you had with your dominant hand when you were firing it the one-handed. So you can also do this without an actual target. So you don't need to be hitting anything, because what we want to be focusing on is the amount of grip pressure that we're putting onto the gun. So go ahead, give this a try. So once you kind of have that figured out, then you know exactly how much pressure you need to be putting on with your hands. Now, your grip strength doesn't need to be super strong and super aggressive in order to be able to control that pistol. The main thing that you want is it to not jump around on you when you're holding it. You don't want to have to change your grip or adjust your grip in the middle of shooting. You want that pistol to stay nice and solid in your hands. So those are the things that you want to focus on when you're looking at grip pressure. The rest of it is more in the rest of your body, into your arms, into your elbows, into your shoulders, the posture that you have. And we will go over more of that in another video. If you found anything in this video useful or helpful, make sure you let me know. Go ahead and hit that like button, leave me a comment below, and share this so other people get the opportunity to see this and can learn how to grip a pistol properly. Remember, practice with purpose.